Look, let's get real for a second. You don't need to conquer the world today. You don't need to fix your whole life. You don't need to become some superhuman version of yourself by 10 a.m. What you do need is to win something. Just one thing, something that counts. Most people wake up, they roll out of bed, and they immediately go into reaction mode. Notifications, emails, comparison, anxiety, and then by midday, they're wondering why they feel behind. Why they feel small, why everything feels like it's moving and they are just stuck. But here's what I've learned. The difference between people who win their day and people who lose it isn't about time, talent, or luck, it's about ownership. Winners don't hope the day goes well. They claim it. They create it. They decide what it means to win, and winning, it doesn't mean being the smartest, richest, or most productive person in the room. Winning means doing the thing you said you would do, even when no one's watching. It means making a choice that your future self will thank you for. It means moving even when the fear is whispering, don't bother. Some days, winning looks like having the hard conversation you've been avoiding. Other days, it looks like going for that 20-minute walk instead of scrolling for 2 hours. Sometimes it's writing the first sentence, not the whole chapter. Sometimes it's saying no to something that looks good but feels wrong. That's the game. It's not sexy. It's not flashy. It's not Instagram worthy every day. But when you make your bed, you win. When you do one more rep, you win. When you show up even though your brain is screaming for comfort, you win. You build momentum. You build pride. You build you. The world will try to tell you that winning comes from getting something, getting the raise, getting the person, getting the lifestyle. But the truth is, real winning is about who you become in the process. Every day is asking you a question. Who are you showing up as today? And your answer, it's not in your words, it's in your actions. So let today be the day you don't chase perfection. Let it be the day you chase progress. Real, gritty, uncomfortable progress. Because that's how you win, that's how you earn self-respect, and that's how you make every day count, not someday, not when you feel ready, today. Confidence is one of the most desired traits in the world, yet one of the most misunderstood. People think confidence is something you either have or you don't. They imagine it as a personality trait you're born with, like a genetic gift some lucky people wake up possessing. But real confidence doesn't come from waiting to feel ready. It doesn't come from telling yourself over and over again that you're good enough. It doesn't even come from compliments, validation, or reassurance from others. Confidence is earned, and it's earned through action. Action is the foundation of true self-belief. You can read books, watch motivational videos, attend workshops, and listen to advice until your ears ring. But none of it means anything if you're not doing the thing. You don't learn to be confident by thinking about being confident. You learn by stepping into the moment that scares you and showing yourself that you're capable. When you act, even in fear, even in doubt, you prove to yourself that you can move forward despite discomfort. That's when confidence is born. The biggest trap people fall into is the belief that they need confidence before they act. They wait for the day they feel confident enough to apply for the job, speak up in a meeting, walk up to that person they're attracted to, or start the project they've been dreaming about. But that day never comes because confidence doesn't precede action. It follows it. You don't become a confident speaker by waiting to feel ready. You become one by standing up, stumbling through your first few sentences, getting better each time, and realizing the world didn't end when you messed up. You build a track record with yourself that says, I can handle this. Confidence is not the absence of fear. It's your relationship with fear. It's your ability to say, yes, I'm scared, but I'm doing it anyway. It's stepping forward when everything in your brain tells you to retreat. That single step is worth more than all the positive affirmations in the world, because it's in the doing, not the wishing, that your identity starts to shift. You stop seeing yourself as someone who hesitates and start seeing yourself as someone who takes initiative. That change is powerful. Action creates evidence, and evidence is what the mind uses to form beliefs. You can't talk yourself into confidence if your daily actions reinforce doubt. But when you start stacking small wins, when you take one uncomfortable step at a time, you begin to build a case. You prove that you can survive awkwardness, push through failure, and improve. With every bit of evidence, the voice inside your head gets quieter and the belief in yourself gets louder. Confidence becomes the natural result of consistency. This is why confidence isn't reserved for the bold or the extroverted. It's available to anyone willing to move. The person who walks into a room and owns it isn't necessarily fearless. They've just acted through fear enough times that it doesn't hold the same power anymore. They've conditioned themselves to be okay with uncertainty. They've had enough reps to know that rejection won't kill them, embarrassment won't destroy them, and stumbling isn't the end. Every experience builds resilience. And resilience feeds confidence. The good news is you don't need to start with giant leaps. Confidence is not an all or nothing game. It's a muscle. You don't need to lift the heaviest weight on day one. You just need to show up and lift something. Small actions taken consistently are how you build lasting confidence. That might mean making one phone call, asking one question, saying yes when you'd usually say no. Every one of those moments matters. Because it teaches you that you're not fragile. It teaches you that discomfort is not danger. It reminds you that growth lies just outside your comfort zone. What people often forget is that avoidance has a cost. Every time you wait, hesitate, or back down, you reinforce the identity that says, I can't handle this. You hand your power to fear. You send a message to yourself that says, I don't trust me. And over time, that message becomes your reality. Confidence doesn't erode overnight. It fades with every decision to step back instead of forward. And while that decline is subtle, its impact is profound. You don't just lose confidence. You lose opportunities, experiences, and the version of yourself you could have become. Taking action doesn't mean recklessness. It means being intentional. It means knowing that fear will show up, but that fear doesn't get the final say. It means deciding what matters to you and letting that matter more than your comfort. When you choose action, even small, quiet, imperfect action, you reclaim control. You show yourself that fear may be loud, but you're still the one at the wheel, and that shift, from waiting to doing, is what changes everything. Confidence isn't reserved for the loudest voice or the biggest ego. In fact, real confidence is often quiet. It's the kind of grounded belief that doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't rely on perfect conditions. It simply trusts that no matter what happens, you'll figure it out. That trust is earned through action, through showing up when it's hard, through doing it messy, through keeping promises to yourself, through not backing down. When you act, you grow. When you act, you learn. When you act, you step into the person you were always capable of becoming. And when you do it consistently, confidence doesn't feel like something you chase anymore. It feels like something you live. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to take one step and then another. Confidence will meet you there. Winning the day doesn't begin with doing everything flawlessly or checking every box on a to-do list. It begins with intention. The power behind how a day unfolds isn't hidden in achieving perfection. It's rooted in deciding how you want to show up, who you want to be, and what truly matters. Too many people wake up already defeated, not because they've failed, but because they haven't taken control of their direction. They're living in response to the world, reacting to distractions, and hoping things somehow fall into place. But hope without intention is drift, and drift never leads to victory. Intention is about choosing your focus. It's waking up and deciding what kind of energy you want to bring into your day. It's declaring what success will look like for you, not based on what others expect, but based on what aligns with your values, goals, and truth. When you set a strong intention, you give your day a structure. You define your direction. You anchor your time, your energy, and your choices to something deeper than urgency or noise. It's not about rigid control, but about purposeful alignment. Perfection, on the other hand, is a trap. It sets you up to believe that unless everything goes exactly as planned, you've somehow failed. It whispers that unless you feel totally ready, you shouldn't begin. It convinces you that mistakes ruin progress, and that showing up with anything less than 100% means you're behind. That mindset keeps people paralyzed. They wait for the perfect plan, the perfect conditions, the perfect timing, but that moment rarely comes, and in the meantime, life is passing them by. When you choose intention over perfection, you grant yourself freedom. You understand that things will go wrong. You'll miss a few beats. There will be distractions, delays, and curveballs, but none of that has to steal the win from your day. Why? Because your win isn't measured by flawlessness. It's measured by alignment with your purpose. If your intention was to speak kindly today, and you caught yourself mid-anger and corrected it, that's a win. If your intention was to take care of your body, and you took a short walk even when the workout didn't happen, that's a win. If your intention was to be present, and you paused your phone to look your loved one in the eye and actually listen, that's a win. These wins don't always look impressive on the outside, but they're powerful on the inside. They build momentum, they build character, they build a life that's shaped by clarity, not chaos. Intention gives you the power to start again, moment by moment, no matter how imperfect things look. You don't throw away the whole day because one thing didn't go as planned. You remind yourself of the intention, and you return to it. That's where the strength lies. People often associate success with big, dramatic changes, but most of what creates a winning day is quiet. It's the decision to choose growth over comfort. It's the courage to take responsibility for your time. It's the awareness to notice when you're drifting and the discipline to come back to center. These are subtle but powerful choices, and they start with clarity. Without intention, your day belongs to everyone and everything else. The loudest voice, the newest alert, the biggest distraction. These become your compass when you don't have one of your own. The beauty of living with intention is that it doesn't require you to have all the answers. It doesn't demand perfection. It simply asks you to care enough to choose who you want to be today. It invites you to take ownership of your attitude, your focus, and your presence. Even when circumstances are out of your control, your intention remains your anchor. You can't always control what happens, but you can control how you engage with it. That choice, that awareness, that's where winning begins. When you start the day with intention, you become proactive instead of reactive. You walk into the world with purpose. You decide in advance how you'll respond when things get hard, instead of waiting until you're overwhelmed to figure it out. That doesn't mean you never stumble. It means you have a reason to get back up. It means you have something bigger than your mood or your comfort guiding you. That creates strength. That creates resilience. The truth is, perfection is exhausting. It drains your energy chasing something that can't be sustained. Intention, on the other hand, fuels you. It reminds you that progress matters more than image. It reminds you that effort matters more than ease. It reminds you that today doesn't need to be extraordinary to be meaningful. It just needs to be aligned. Aligned with your values, aligned with your growth, aligned with your deeper why. You win the day not when everything goes right, but when you rise to meet the day with your heart engaged, when you decide that how you live matters. When you commit to showing up on purpose, not just on autopilot, that doesn't mean you'll always feel motivated. It means you'll act anyway. That doesn't mean you'll hit every goal. It means you'll move forward even when it's messy. That's the power of intention. It turns ordinary moments into opportunities for integrity. It turns chaos into clarity. It turns routine into something sacred. In the end, the days that feel most successful are rarely the ones where everything was perfect. They're the days when you were honest with yourself, when you stretched, when you stayed true to what mattered most, when you kept going even when it was hard, that's a win. And that kind of win doesn't depend on perfection. It depends on being intentional, consistent, and present, and that is always within your reach.